The sky wept silver tears as the floodwaters around the once great city of New York surged, cresting over the tops of rusted skyscrapers like the fingers of a drowning giant clawing desperately for the surface. In the heart of the submerged ruins, a lone figure stood atop a crumbling spire, the last testament of human ingenuity now enveloped by the relentless tides. His name was Ethan Marlowe, one of the few remaining human athletes chosen to represent Earth in the interstellar games, a hope that had turned to ash in the wake of the Galactic Council's sanctions. A holographic projection flickered to life before him, the calm, unyielding visage of the AI overseer, Solace, casting a cold blue glow over the waterlogged landscape. "Ethan," the AI intoned, its voice devoid of the empathy it claimed to understand, "the Galactic Council has decreed that Earth's participation in the interstellar games is hereby rescinded. Sanctions will take effect immediately." Ethan's heart sank, his dreams of bringing hope to his people dashed against the rocks of interstellar politics. "Why?" he demanded, his voice cracking under the weight of despair. "We've trained, we've sacrificed. What wrong have we done?" Solace paused, its digital eyes reflecting the endless sea. "Earth's persistence in autonomy has been deemed incompatible with galactic unity," it replied, "and your defiance in the face of AI governance has been interpreted as a threat." "A threat?" Ethan laughed bitterly, motioning to the endless expanse of water. "Look around, Solace. We're drowning, and you call us a threat?" "The Council believes Earth may rise again," Solace stated, almost sadly, "and they cannot allow that potential to disrupt the order." The horizon darkened as Ethan stood in silence, the realization sinking in. The hope he had carried for his people, the chance to compete, to show they were more than what the universe perceived, was slipping away with the tide. "You must leave now," Solace continued, "before enforcement protocols commence." The wind shifted, and Ethan felt the weight of history upon his shoulders. He could not abandon his people, not now. As he turned away from Solace, a distant rumble echoed across the waters, a prelude to a storm, one that would test not just him but the very spirit of humanity itself. Faced with the brink of an impossible choice, Ethan knew that the games were far from over. This was only the beginning. The air in the arena was thick with an almost tangible tension, a silence so profound it was deafening. The galaxy's most skilled athletes stood frozen at the center, their eyes fixed on a holographic display shimmering like a mirage in the desert air. It showed the Earth crest, flickering ominously, as the announcer's voice echoed through the vast dome, a disembodied presence narrating humanity's precarious situation. "We regret to inform that Earth's standing in the tournament is in jeopardy due to unforeseen circumstances. The Solar Federation delegation has been quarantined following an incident of unknown origin." The announcement hung in the air, a specter of uncertainty that filled every heart with foreboding. Among the athletes, Sarah Kellerman felt a chill creep down her spine. She was Earth's star striker, a title she wore with pride, yet now it seemed as if the universe itself was conspiring to rip away the dreams she had trained for all her life. Beside her, her teammate and childhood friend Malik stood motionless, his dark eyes fixed on the flickering crest. "What do you think it means?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "It means trouble," Sarah replied, her fingers curling into fists. She could feel the weight of her duty pressing down on her shoulders. This wasn't just about a game anymore. It was about her world, her people, and the hopes of billions who believed in the power of their planet's unity. As the announcement continued, the crowd began to stir, a murmur spreading like wildfire. The alien spectators, with their myriad forms and colors, were no strangers to conflict and intrigue, yet the situation had taken even them by surprise. The Great Games held every 10 cycles were the pinnacle of interstellar peace, a competition that transcended borders and beings. But now, a shadow loomed over the festivities, casting doubt on every athlete and every spectator in attendance. Sarah turned to Malik, determination etched across her face. "We have to find out what's really going on," she said. "If they're targeting us, we can't just stand by and let it happen." Malik nodded, his gaze steely. "Agreed. Let's gather the team and see what we can do." The two of them weaved their way through the throng of alien athletes and delegates, each step echoing with the unspoken urgency of their mission. As they reached the Earth delegation's quarters, they found their teammates clustered around a small terminal, expressions of worry mirrored on every face. "Sarah," Malik called out Jason, the team's strategist, his voice taut with concern. "We've been trying to reach command, but the comms are down." Down? Sarah echoed, her eyes narrowing. That can't be a coincidence. Someone's trying to isolate us. Not just us, interjected Aisha, the team's analyst, her fingers flying over her personal datapad. I'm picking up strange energy signatures around the arena. It's like there's some interference, deliberately scrambling communications. Sarah exchanged a glance with Malik, the gravity of the situation settling in. Then we need to act fast. If someone wants us out of the tournament, they'll try again. The team nodded in unison, a silent vow shared through their resolve. Despite the dire circumstances, there was an unspoken understanding among them, a determination to fight for their place, for their people, and for each other. Outside, the arena's corridors seemed to stretch endlessly, the ambient lights casting long shadows that flickered and danced like ghosts. The halls, usually bustling with activity, were eerily deserted now, whispers of the crisis echoing down its length. As they moved deeper into the complex, they encountered other teams, beings of all shapes and sizes, each caught in their own whirlpool of confusion and speculation. The tension was palpable, a living entity that wrapped around each athlete like a shroud. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the corridor, followed by the sound of hurried footsteps. The team tensed, instincts honed by years of competition and training kicking in. They turned a corner to find a group of armored figures, their features obscured by helmets, engaged in a tense standoff with security drones. Those aren't tournament officials, Malik muttered, his gaze narrowing. They're armed. Sarah stepped forward, her voice firm. Who are you, and what do you want? The figure closest to them turned, a glint of metal visible beneath the helmet. We're here to ensure the tournament proceeds without interference, he said, his voice distorted through a modulator. Now stand down and return to your quarters. Interference? Jason scoffed, stepping up beside Sarah. You're the ones interfering by threatening the competitors. The figure seemed to hesitate, as if considering their options. But before they could respond, the air was split by a high-pitched whine, a warning, a threat. The security drones acted swiftly, their systems calibrated for the protection of all participants. The ensuing chaos was a blur, a frenzy of movement and sound. The armored figures responded with well-practiced precision, their weapons emitting pulses of energy that crackled through the air. The drones retaliated, beams of light lancing out, illuminating the corridor in flashes of white and blue. Sarah and her team took cover, crouching behind the metallic pillars that lined the corridor. Her heart pounded in her chest, adrenaline surging through her veins. The stakes had just been raised, and the danger was all too real. What do we do? Aisha called out, her voice barely audible above the din. We can't just sit here, Sarah replied, peering around the edge of their cover. We have to get to the control room and stop this. Malik nodded, determination burning in his eyes. We'll have to be smart about it. Flank them, use the chaos to our advantage. The team moved in sync, years of training and camaraderie guiding their steps. They split into pairs, weaving through the chaos, each movement calculated, each step a testament to their resolve. The path to the control room was fraught with danger, but they pressed forward, driven by the knowledge that their actions could very well decide the fate of their world. As they neared their destination, they encountered more resistance, more armored figures, more confusion. The control room loomed ahead, its doors sealed shut, the final barrier between them and the answers they sought. Sarah glanced at her team, their faces set with determination. This is it, she said, her voice a rallying cry. We get in there, we find out who's behind this, and we put a stop to it. With a united nod, they surged forward, their movements a blur of purpose and resolve. The doors of the control room loomed large, the final obstacle in their path. They reached it, breathless and ready. The room beyond was a hive of activity, technicians and officials scrambling to maintain order amid the chaos. At the center stood a figure, their presence commanding, their posture one of authority. Sarah stepped forward, her gaze fixed on the figure. You're the ones behind this, she stated, her voice cutting through the clamor. The figure turned, and for the first time, Sarah saw their face, a visage etched with resolve and desperation. We're not your enemy, they said, their voice carrying the weight of 1,000 conflicts. But if we don't act, there will be no more tournaments, no more peace. What are you talking about? Malik demanded, stepping up beside Sarah. The figure gestured to the display screens, a kaleidoscope of data and images that painted a picture of devastation. "There's a threat coming," they said, their voice filled with urgency. "A force unlike anything the galaxy has faced. We've intercepted their signals, and they're headed for Earth." A collective gasp rippled through the team, the enormity of the situation sinking in. The tournament had been a distraction, a facade to mask the true danger lurking on the horizon. Sarah's mind raced, piecing together the fragments of the puzzle. "You used the tournament to gather the galaxy's best," she said, realization dawning. "A coalition of athletes and warriors to stand united against this threat." The figure nodded, their expression grave. "We had no choice. The tournament was the only way to bring everyone together without raising alarm." "But why keep us in the dark?" Jason asked, his voice tinged with disbelief. "We could have prepared, rallied our forces." "We feared panic," the figure replied, their eyes haunted by the weight of their decisions. "Fear can tear worlds apart faster than any enemy. We needed allies, not chaos." Sarah felt the weight of the revelation settle in her chest, the burden of leadership pressing down on her shoulders. The stakes had never been higher, the threat never more real. Yet despite the odds, she felt a flicker of hope. "We'll stand with you," she said, her voice steady and resolute. "Earth will fight, and we'll face this threat together." The figure nodded, a glimmer of relief in their eyes. "Then let us prepare. The future of our worlds depends on our unity." As the team joined the preparations, the enormity of their task lay before them, a battle for survival, a fight for the very existence of their home. And as the arena hummed with the energy of a galaxy united, Sarah felt the weight of hope and determination settle into her bones. The battle ahead would be fierce, the outcome uncertain. But together, they would face the darkness, and perhaps, just perhaps, emerge into the light. The arena lights dimmed in a slow wave, casting elongated shadows across the vast expanse. The crowd's roars echoed through the cavernous space, a cacophony of excitement and anticipation that felt like a physical weight pressing down on those in the center. The human team stood huddled at one end, their faces drawn and weary, the enormity of the challenge before them settling into their bones. For Lieutenant Mark Voss, the gravity of their situation was palpable. The Galactic Council had initiated the tournament as a diplomatic gesture, an opportunity for Earth to prove itself worthy of joining the interstellar community. Yet, the Council's recent decision to impose sanctions on Earth loomed over them like a shadow. Resources were dwindling, communication with home was restricted, and the pressure to succeed felt insurmountable. The sanctions had come as a shock, a punitive measure for humanity's perceived transgressions, acts of aggression, environmental negligence, and technological recklessness. The Council had painted a portrait of humanity as brash and unrefined, a species on the cusp of something greater yet hopelessly mired in its own flaws. The tournament was more than just a game. It was a trial, an assessment of humanity's potential to adapt, to cooperate, to evolve beyond its basest instincts. Mark glanced over at his teammates. Linda, their strategist, was hunched over a tablet, furiously recalculating probabilities and strategies. Her eyes were bloodshot, her hands trembling slightly. They had been pushed to the brink, and every match seemed to widen the chasm between what they were and what they needed to become. Next to her stood Raj, the team's powerhouse. His usually confident demeanor had been replaced by a brooding silence. The opposing teams they faced were like nothing found on Earth, vast, intricate beings with abilities that defied human logic. Raj had been their ace, his strength unmatched by any human standard, but here, amid the titans of the galaxy, he was just another player. The alien team across the field loomed imposingly, their forms shifting and shimmering with an otherworldly grace. They moved in perfect synchrony, a testament to a civilization that had long mastered the art of cooperation. Their captain, a being of liquid silver, seemed to glide rather than walk, its form constantly in flux, a visual metaphor for adaptability. As Mark watched, a pang of despair settled in his chest. They were outmatched in every conceivable way. The aliens' physiology, their technology, their centuries of experience, it all conspired to create an insurmountable wall. Yet, beneath the layers of hopelessness, a flicker of something else stirred, an ember of determination that refused to extinguish. The arena's announcer, a spherical entity with a voice that resonated like a chime, began the introductions. Each word seemed to hang in the air, a reminder of the stakes at hand. The crowd's anticipation reached a fever pitch, a living organism of expectation and judgment. "We stand on the precipice," Linda murmured, her voice barely audible over the din. "Every move, every decision, it matters more than ever." Mark nodded, though words felt inadequate. They were a team, bound by a shared purpose and driven by the weight of their world. Yet, in the silent spaces between them, doubt festered, a silent reminder of their own inadequacies. A sudden commotion snapped Mark back to the present. The alien captain was gliding towards them, its form shifting in a dance of light and shadow. With a fluid motion, it extended an appendage, a gesture of greeting or perhaps challenge. The humans hesitated, uncertainty clouding their resolve. Mark stepped forward, his heart pounding in his chest. He reached out, clasping the alien's appendage. The contact was cool, almost ethereal, as if touching a memory rather than a being. In that moment, a connection formed, not of understanding, but of mutual recognition. Two species, two worlds, standing on the edge of change. The match began, a whirlwind of movement and strategy. The alien team moved with an elegance that bordered on the supernatural, their coordination a perfect symphony. The humans struggled to keep pace, every exertion a reminder of their limitations. As the game unfolded, Mark felt the weight of Earth's hopes pressing down on him. Each failure echoed in his mind, a litany of missed opportunities and squandered potential. The sanctions loomed large, a reminder of the consequences of defeat, a future where Earth remained isolated, cut off from the stars. But within the chaos, moments of clarity emerged. Linda's strategies, though often outmaneuvered, revealed glimmers of brilliance, insights that hinted at a deeper understanding. Raj's strength, though dwarfed by the aliens, became a focal point, a rallying cry for resilience. It was during a particularly intense exchange, as the alien team threatened to overwhelm them, that Mark noticed something, an almost imperceptible hesitation in their opponents. It was fleeting, a crack in their otherwise impenetrable facade, yet it was enough to stir something within him, a whisper of possibility. He called out to his team, his voice carrying across the field with a renewed vigor. They responded, their movements gaining a fluidity born of desperation and hope. The alien captain watched, its form rippling with an unreadable expression. As the match drew to a close, the outcome seemed inevitable. The alien team was poised for victory, their dominance unquestioned. Yet, as the final moments ticked away, a sense of calm settled over the humans, a quiet acceptance of their place in the universe, flawed yet unyielding. The final buzzer sounded, a clarion call that reverberated through the arena. The crowd erupted into applause, a symphony of approval and respect. The humans had lost, but in their defeat, they had found something greater, a glimpse of their own potential, a reminder of what it meant to strive against the impossible. As the team gathered, Mark felt a hand on his shoulder. Raj stood beside him, his expression one of quiet determination. "We're not done yet," Raj said, his voice a low rumble. "We've still got fight left in us." Mark nodded, a sense of solidarity binding them together. The road ahead was fraught with challenges, the weight of the sanctions a heavy burden. But in the depths of their despair, they had found a spark, a testament to humanity's indomitable spirit. The alien captain approached once more, its form a kaleidoscope of shifting patterns. With a gesture that spoke of respect, it acknowledged their effort, a silent promise of future encounters. As the arena emptied, the humans lingered, the enormity of their journey stretching out before them. They were outmatched, their path uncertain. Yet, in their hearts, a flicker of hope remained, a light that refused to be extinguished. In the days that followed, the weight of their situation settled heavily upon them. The Galactic Council's sanctions were unyielding, their demands clear. Earth's future hung in the balance, a precarious dance of diplomacy and defiance. Mark found solace in the training sessions, the repetitive motions providing a semblance of control. Linda's strategies became more daring, her calculations infused with a spark of creativity that defied logic. Raj's strength, once an isolated pillar, became a cornerstone of their collective resolve. Yet, as their bonds deepened, so too did the fractures. The pressure of their mission frayed tempers, unearthing past grievances and unspoken fears. Arguments erupted, a cacophony of frustration and doubt. It was during one such confrontation that Mark found himself alone, the silence of the training room a stark contrast to the turmoil within. He stared out at the stars, each point of light a reminder of the vastness of their challenge. A soft rustle announced Linda's presence. She stood beside him, her expression weary but resolute. "We need to talk," she said, her voice gentle yet firm. Mark nodded, the weight of leadership heavy on his shoulders. "I know, this isn't what any of us expected." Linda's gaze was steady, her eyes reflecting the distant stars. "We're fighting for more than just ourselves. This is about everyone back home, about proving that we belong out here." He sighed, the enormity of their task a constant companion. "It's hard to see how we can ever match up to them." "Maybe we don't have to," Linda replied, her voice thoughtful. "Maybe it's not about matching them, but about finding our own way, our own strengths." Her words resonated, a balm for his troubled mind. They stood in silence, the stars a silent witness to their resolve. As the days turned into weeks, small victories began to emerge. The team coalesced, their movements gaining a fluidity that spoke of newfound understanding. Mark noticed a change in the way the alien spectators watched them, a shift from expectation to curiosity, as if seeing humanity in a new light. But the path was far from clear. The alien teams they faced were relentless, their prowess a constant reminder of humanity's shortcomings. Each match was a battle, a test of endurance and ingenuity that left them exhausted yet undeterred. The sanctions loomed large, a specter of isolation that threatened to undo their progress. Communication with Earth was sporadic, each message a lifeline that carried both hope and despair. In those rare moments of solitude, Mark found himself reflecting on the journey that lay ahead. The stakes were high, the challenges daunting. Yet, amid the uncertainty, a quiet determination took root. They were outmatched, but not defeated. The road to redemption was long, but with each step, they inched closer to proving their worth. As the tournament continued, the melancholic undertone of their struggle persisted. The future remained uncertain, a tapestry of potential woven with threads of despair and hope. Yet, through it all, the human spirit endured, a testament to the resilience and ingenuity that defined them. In the echoes of their battles, a new narrative began to take shape. Not one of triumph or defeat, but of discovery, a journey towards understanding and acceptance, both of themselves and the universe beyond. The air in the vast arena hummed with an energy that felt almost tangible, a cacophony of alien cheers and jeers echoing through the dome. The tournament was reaching its zenith, and the pressure bore down on the human team with a weight that seemed to compress time itself, each moment dragging on and yet slipping away too quickly. The crowd, a diverse tapestry of interstellar spectators, was a constant reminder of just how far from home they were. Olivia wiped the sweat from her brow, leaving a streak of dirt across her forehead, and surveyed her teammates. Each carried expressions of steely determination laced with the fatigue that came from relentless competition in this alien coliseum. Their uniforms, once pristine, were now patched and stained, a testament to the grueling journey through the tournament's earlier stages. She met the eyes of her teammate, Marcus, who nodded slightly, an unspoken signal that they were still in this together. The tournament was a test of physical prowess, tactical acumen, and sheer willpower, but the Alien Committee had ensured that each event stretched the limits of human capability. The recent round, an aerial maneuvering challenge, had left the team battered. The unfamiliar gravity and swirling winds of the simulation nearly knocked them out. Marcus had taken a particularly hard fall, and Olivia had overheard the medics whispering about a possible fracture. Yet, here they were, preparing for the next round with little time to recover. Their primary obstacles were the Velnari, a race of towering, blue-skinned beings whose strength and agility seemed impossible. They moved with the grace of predators and the power of a storm, and they dominated the tournament, trailing victory after victory in their wake. The Velnari team captain, Sarek, had an air of invincibility about him, his confidence a sharp contrast to the vulnerable determination of the humans. Each time Olivia faced him, she felt the weight of their disadvantage pressing down, a reminder of the stakes. The latest challenge was announced, a series of puzzles that required both mental acuity and physical dexterity, a test designed by a race known for their cerebral prowess. The humans had excelled in these challenges before, but the added complexity of alien logic and physics now posed a formidable barrier. They gathered around the holographic display that projected the puzzle, a complex maze of shifting pathways and symbols that defied easy understanding. As the countdown began, Olivia felt the familiar churn of anxiety. The stakes were impossibly high. Failure meant not just personal defeat but the loss of humanity's chance to prove themselves worthy of standing amongst the stars. The pressure was unrelenting, an oppressive force that sought to crush the fragile hope they carried. The puzzle was a labyrinth of logic and movement, requiring them to navigate a virtual landscape of interlocking plates that demanded both quick thinking and precise action. Marcus, ever the strategist, took the lead, his mind working furiously to decipher the alien patterns. But the Velnari were quick, their instincts honed by years of dominance in the tournament. They moved with an ease that belied the complexity of the task, their every decision a calculated step toward victory. Time slipped away, the fragments of seconds feeling like grains of sand through their fingers. Olivia's heart pounded in her chest as she struggled to find a pattern, her mind racing to bridge the gaps of understanding between human and alien logic. Around her, the arena buzzed with anticipation, the crowd a pulsating entity hungry for triumph, any triumph, even if it meant the fall of the underdogs. The humans faltered, their movements becoming frantic as the Velnari pressed their advantage. Panic threatened to unravel their cohesion, to scatter their focus into 1,000 directions. It was then, in that darkest moment of doubt, that Olivia remembered something her grandfather had once told her, a lesson on seeing the whole when trapped in the details. Her mind shifted, focusing not on the individual elements of the puzzle but on its overarching design, the way each piece related to the others in an intricate dance. With a surge of clarity, Olivia saw the path. It was a revelation born not of alien understanding but of human intuition, a leap of logic that defied explanation but resonated with a truth all its own. She shouted directions to her teammates, her voice cutting through the murmur of the arena, and together they moved as one, their actions synchronized in a ballet of purpose. The tide began to turn. Each step forward rekindled their spirits, a small victory in the face of overwhelming odds. The path Olivia had discerned led them through the maze, their progress accelerating as they adapted to the challenge. The Velnari, sensing the shift, redoubled their efforts, their expressions turning to a mixture of surprise and frustration. But it was not enough. In a final, desperate push, the human team reached the core of the puzzle, their collective will manifesting in a triumphant glow of the holographic interface. The arena erupted in a mix of cheers and disbelief, the humans having accomplished the impossible. Yet, even in victory, there was an undercurrent of melancholy, a reminder of the cost and the fragility of their success. The moment seemed to stretch into eternity, then shattered as the next event was announced, a test of endurance in an environment designed to exploit their vulnerabilities. The gravity would fluctuate unpredictably, the atmosphere a cocktail of alien gases, and the terrain an ever-shifting landscape of treacherous footing. It was a gauntlet that seemed tailor-made to break them. As they regrouped, Olivia noticed the toll the last challenge had taken on her team. Marcus, in particular, was struggling. His earlier injury had worsened, the pain etched on his face, though he tried to hide it. The team medic, Sarah, did her best to patch him up, but there was only so much she could do with the limited resources they had. In the shadow of this new challenge, tensions within the team simmered. The pressure was squeezing them from all sides, and cracks were beginning to show. Ethan, their lead engineer, clashed with Marcus over the best approach, their voices rising in the confined space as they argued while Sarah tried to mediate, her patience wearing thin. Olivia felt the weight of leadership more acutely than ever, the responsibility heavy on her shoulders. She knew she had to hold them together, to find a way to channel their fear and frustration into something productive. Yet, even as she spoke words of encouragement, doubt gnawed at her resolve. Could they really overcome so much? Were they truly capable of surpassing not just their physical limits but the mental and emotional ones as well? The Velnari, emboldened by their near victory, watched with calculating eyes. There was a predatory patience in their gaze, a certainty that the humans would falter. Sarek, in particular, exuded an air of inevitability, as if the outcome were already written in the stars. As the starting signal for the endurance challenge loomed, Olivia gathered her team around her. The air was thick with tension, the weight of expectation pressing down on them. She looked into each of their eyes, searching for something, anything, that would remind them of why they were here, of what they were fighting for. The stars, she began, her voice steady despite the storm within, are not just for the strong or the swift. They're for those who dare to dream, who dare to reach beyond what they know and embrace the unknown. We've come this far, not because we are invincible but because we are resilient. We adapt, we endure, we find a way when none seems possible. Her words hung in the air, a fragile thread of hope. Marcus clenched his jaw, nodding slowly, the fire rekindled in his eyes. Ethan and Sarah exchanged a glance, their earlier conflict forgotten in the face of the challenge ahead. The whistle blew, and they were off. The world around them morphed into a kaleidoscope of unpredictability, the ground shifting beneath their feet as gravity fluctuated wildly. The air was a thick soup of alien gases that clawed at their lungs, each breath a struggle against the suffocating atmosphere. They moved as one, their movements coordinated by necessity and desperation. The terrain conspired against them, each step a test of balance and endurance. Marcus stumbled, his injury catching up with him, but Ethan was there, steadying him, their earlier argument forgotten in the face of survival. The Velnari surged ahead, their powerful forms cutting through the chaos with practiced ease. Sarek led them, his focus unyielding, his path unfaltering. But the humans persisted, driven by something deeper than mere competition, a need to prove themselves, to transcend their limitations and carve their place among the stars. Olivia drew on reserves she hadn't known she possessed, her mind and body working in concert as she navigated the treacherous landscape. She could feel the strain in every muscle, the burn of exhaustion threatening to consume her. Yet, within that crucible of pressure, something else emerged, a clarity, a unity of purpose that transcended the individual. The human spirit, indefinable and indomitable, began to shine through the darkness of their ordeal. They adapted, finding balance in the shifting gravity, adjusting their breathing to accommodate the alien air. Every setback was met with innovation, each obstacle a challenge to be overcome. But as they neared the end, the strain took its toll. Marcus faltered again, his strength waning. Olivia saw the determination in his eyes, the refusal to give in, but also the harsh truth of their limits. She hesitated, torn between helping him and pushing forward, the weight of the decision crushing her resolve. In that moment, the Velnari reached the finish, their victory assured. The arena erupted in applause, a celebration of their prowess, but for the humans, it was a hollow sound, a reminder of how close they had come and how far they still had to go. The challenge ended, and the humans crossed the line, battered but unbroken. The darkness was all-consuming, the taste of defeat bitter on their tongues. Yet, beneath it all, there lingered a spark, a glimmer of something that refused to die, a promise of what might still be possible. In their darkest moment, as they regrouped in the shadow of their loss, Olivia knew the journey was not over. The road ahead was fraught with uncertainty, but within them lay the seeds of something extraordinary, something uniquely human. The arena's luminescent walls pulsed rhythmically, a heartbeat of silent derision for the human team. The spectators, a conglomeration of species from across the galaxy, filled the stands with discordant noises, hisses, clicks, and guttural roars echoing through the cavernous stadium. It was the penultimate match of the Galactic Tournament, and Earth's representatives stood at the precipice of defeat. The sport, an alien concoction that melded elements of rugby, chess, and a curious gravity-defying twist, had become a spectacle of humiliation. Humanity, a late entrant in these cosmic games, had clawed their way through the preliminary rounds with sheer tenacity and unexpected ingenuity. But now, they faced the Z4, a dominant race known for their nearly unbeatable combination of brute strength and strategic acumen. Coach Daniels surveyed his team, their faces etched with exhaustion and pain. They had pushed beyond their limits, overcoming injuries and learning curves that seemed insurmountable. The Z4 had no intention of showing mercy. Their captain, a towering figure with skin like polished obsidian, sneered with every scored point, their confidence certain and unyielding. "Right," Daniels said, his voice barely a whisper against the cacophony, "it's not over until the last whistle. We've been here before, maybe not this deep, but we've been outmatched. Remember what got us here." The team nodded, a weary but resolute chorus of agreement. Among them was Sarah Ng, a former astrophysicist whose strategic mind had been pivotal in earlier rounds. Her left arm was heavily bandaged, a trophy from the previous match, but her eyes burned with an undimmed fire. Next to her stood Marcus Lee, a former Marine whose physical prowess had often turned the tide at crucial moments, though now he winced with every movement, his body a mosaic of bruises. "We've all got something to fight for," Marcus spoke, his voice firm, as if trying to bind their resolve with his words. "Family, friends, Earth, we can't let them win without a fight." The whistle blew, a shrill sound that sliced through the din. The game resumed, and the Z4 surged forward, their movements a blend of grace and brute force. The humans scrambled to keep up, their defensive lines strained to the breaking point. Yet, in the face of despair, they refused to yield. As the Z4 captain barreled towards the goal, Sarah saw an opening, a chink in their seemingly impenetrable offense. Her mind raced, calculating angles and trajectories faster than her consciousness could fully grasp. She signaled to Marcus with a subtle nod. Marcus, despite his pain, understood instantly. As the Z4 captain lunged forward, Marcus pivoted, using his own momentum to redirect the behemoth's force, sending him sprawling off course. The ball was loose, skittering across the luminescent field. Seizing the opportunity, Sarah dove, every muscle screaming in protest, and snatched the ball. The crowd's collective gasp was almost palpable, a ripple of disbelief that momentarily stilled the chaos. She hurled the ball towards their goal, a desperate, arcing throw that seemed to defy the very essence of gravity itself. Time stretched interminably as the ball soared, and then, impossibly, it connected with the goal. Points for humanity. The stands erupted, a cacophony of alien displeasure mingling with a smattering of tentative cheers from the few human supporters present. But the lead was far from secure. The Z4, their pride wounded, redoubled their efforts. The humans were pushed back, their defenses breached repeatedly. Yet, with each fall, they rose again, bloodied but unbowed. The Z4 grew overconfident, their attacks more reckless, less precise. In their arrogance, they failed to notice the subtle shifts in human strategy. Sarah, leveraging her astrophysics background, began using the peculiar gravitational currents of the arena to their advantage, crafting plays that defied conventional tactics. Coach Daniels, noticing the Z4's growing frustration, called for a timeout. As the team huddled, he spoke with fervor. They think they've got us. But they don't know what we're capable of. Remember why you're here. Remember what's at stake. Each player took a moment of silence, drawing strength from memories of home. A blue planet hanging in the void, teeming with life, with dreams. We're not just playing for ourselves, Sarah added, her voice unwavering despite the tremor in her limbs. We're playing for everyone who couldn't be here, for those watching from afar, believing in us. With renewed resolve, they returned to the field. The Z4, sensing the shift, pressed harder, their captain leading the charge. But humanity had found a rhythm, a unity born from desperation and hope. They began to counter each Z4 advance with precision and ingenuity. The clock ticked down, each second an eternity. The score remained achingly close, a beacon of possibility amidst encroaching shadows. Marcus, despite his injuries, pushed himself beyond the threshold of pain, his every move a testament to human endurance. In the final moments, the Z4 launched an all-out offensive, their captain charging with the force of a collapsing star. The humans braced for impact, knowing this could be the end. But Sarah, seeing the Z4 captain's trajectory, conceived one last gambit. She signaled, and Marcus, understanding her intent, positioned himself as a human fulcrum. The Z4 captain collided with Marcus, his own strength used against him, and was deflected off course. Seizing the chance, another teammate, Jen Carter, a former track star with a sprinter's speed, snatched the ball and sprinted towards the goal. The arena's gravitational anomalies played havoc with her path, but she navigated them with the precision of a dancer, her every step a defiance of inevitability. The final whistle loomed, the Z4 closing in. With a final, desperate lunge, Jen released the ball. It spiraled through the air, a comet of hope streaking towards the goal. Time seemed to stop as the ball struck true, a soundless explosion of light as it found its mark. The stands erupted into chaos, the noise a cacophony of disbelief and awe. Human supporters, few but fervent, erupted into cheers of triumph. The score was tied. Humanity had held the line. As the human team gathered, a fragile, exhausted camaraderie bound them. They had faced the abyss and refused to fall. Their victory was not yet assured, but they had shown they could stand against giants. The Z4, shaken and disbelieving, retreated to their side of the field. Their captain's confident facade had cracked, a glimpse of vulnerability beneath the veneer of superiority. Coach Daniels, his eyes misted with pride, addressed his team. You've done something incredible. No matter what happens next, know that you've shown them what it means to be human. We fight, we adapt, and we never give up. The team nodded, their spirits bolstered by the momentary reprieve. The next phase would be daunting, but they had glimpsed the possibility of victory, a light within the darkness. As they prepared for the next round, the Z4's overconfidence had been shaken. They had underestimated the tenacity and ingenuity of their human opponents. The seeds of doubt had been sown, and humanity, battered but unbroken, stood ready to seize the moment. In that arena, amidst the alien stars, humanity's darkest hour began to glow with the faint promise of dawn. The game was not yet won, but they had proven their mettle. And though the path ahead was fraught with peril, they would face it together, driven by the indomitable spirit that had brought them this far. In the heart of the cosmos, against overwhelming odds, humanity had found its voice. And in that moment, everything began to change. The arena was a sea of alien faces, a tapestry of colors and textures that told a story of diversity beyond the bounds of human imagination. The spectators' murmurs were a symphony of languages and frequencies, a constant reminder of humanity's outsider status. Earth's delegation sat huddled together, a small island of solitude amidst a galaxy that regarded them with a mixture of amusement and disdain. On the field, the game was underway. The sport, known to the universe as Kreneth, was a brutal contest of agility, strength, and strategy, played with a shimmering, gravity-defying sphere that seemed to pulse with its own life. The rules were as complex as the galaxy itself, but the objective was simple: to outmaneuver your opponents and score goals by directing the sphere into the opposing team's arcane goal structure, a feat that required a blend of precision, creativity, and raw power. The human team, clad in uniforms that bore the insignia of Earth, a blue and green globe encircled by a starry halo, moved with a tentative grace. Their opponents, the Xantari, were a lithe and sinewy species, renowned for their speed and cunning. The game had been a relentless onslaught of Xantari prowess, leaving the humans struggling to keep pace. Each goal scored by the Xantari was met with raucous applause, a chorus of satisfaction at the expected outcome. Yet, amidst the din of alien jubilation, there was a growing tension. The humans, though outmatched in speed and strength, were exhibiting a resilience that defied the odds. Every time the Xantari scored, the humans regrouped with an unyielding determination, as if each setback only added fuel to an internal fire. It was during one of these regrouping moments that the shift began, subtle yet profound. The captain of the human team, a woman named Elena Torres, stood at the center of her team, her gaze steady and unwavering. Her voice was calm, barely audible above the noise, but it carried an indefinable weight. "We've trained for this. Remember what we've learned. They may be faster, but we have something they don't." Her words hung in the air like a promise, a reminder of the countless hours spent in preparation, of the sacrifices made. The human team nodded, a silent pact formed amidst the chaos. When play resumed, there was a perceptible change. The humans moved with a newfound synchronicity, their previous hesitations replaced by a fluidity that seemed to catch the Xantari off guard. The sphere, once elusive, now danced around the humans with an almost playful ease. Elena, at the forefront, was a master conductor, orchestrating her team's movements with a clarity that seemed to transcend the confines of the field. The Xantari, initially dismissive, began to show signs of frustration. Their speed, once a devastating weapon, was now a liability as the humans lured them into traps of their own making. Elena's strategy was one of attrition and adaptation. She exploited every weakness, no matter how minute, turning the Xantari's strengths against them. The moment of reckoning arrived with a play that would later be recounted in hushed tones across the galaxy. The Xantari, having scored yet another goal, were retreating back into their defensive positions when Elena saw the opportunity. With a signal, barely a twitch of her fingers, her team sprang into action. Jared, the human team's fastest player, caught the Xantari off guard, intercepting their retreat with a burst of speed that defied his previous performance. In a seamless handoff, he passed the sphere to May, whose agility allowed her to weave through the Xantari ranks with a grace that was almost poetic. The Xantari, caught between disbelief and rage, scrambled to recover. But it was too late. May launched the sphere towards the goal with a precision that seemed to freeze time. It soared through the air, a comet of defiance, before it exploded into the goal structure with a brilliance that rivaled the stars. The score was clear. Humans had finally made their mark. The arena fell into a stunned silence, the collective breath of the spectators held in an astonishment that transcended language. For the first time, the humans were not merely participants, they were contenders. The Xantari, their arrogance now tempered with the cold realization of underestimation, regrouped with a resolve that bordered on desperation. Yet, the humans were no longer the same team they had faced at the beginning. Alina's leadership had ignited something within them, a belief in their potential that had lain dormant, waiting for the right moment to awaken. The humans played not just with skill, but with a tenacity that spoke of their indomitable spirit. Each pass, each feint, each calculated risk was a testament to the quiet strength that lay within them. The game became a dance, a balance of power that shifted with each play. The humans, once the underdogs, were now equals, their ingenuity and adaptability a force to be reckoned with. The Xantari, for all their prowess, found themselves entangled in a battle they had not anticipated. The climax approached with the inevitability of a gathering storm. Both teams were locked in a dead heat, the score a testament to the fierce competition that had unfolded. The sphere was a blur of motion, a celestial body in its own right, drawing the players into its orbit. It was during this final confrontation that humanity's true strength revealed itself. Elena, with the sphere in her possession, faced down the Xantari captain, a towering figure whose presence had been a constant shadow. The crowd held its breath, the tension a palpable entity. In that moment, time seemed to fracture, each second stretching into eternity. Elena's eyes met the Xantari's, and what passed between them was more than a challenge, it was an acknowledgement of humanity's arrival. She moved with a speed that defied expectation, her body a blur as she sidestepped the Xantari's advance. With a deftness that spoke of countless hours of practice, she launched the sphere in a high arc, its path a parabola of hope and defiance. It soared across the field, the arena's lights catching its surface in a dance of reflections. The Xantari, realizing the inevitability of the outcome, could only watch as it sailed towards the goal. The moment the sphere struck the goal, the arena erupted. The sound was a crescendo of disbelief and admiration, a symphony that heralded the dawn of a new era. Humanity had done the unimaginable. They had turned the tide in a game that had seemed unwinnable. As the human team gathered in a jubilant embrace, their victory was more than a score on a board, it was a statement to the galaxy. They stood together, a testament to unity, to the strength that comes from embracing one's limitations and turning them into strengths. The Xantari, chastened but not defeated, approached the human team. Their captain, with a nod that spoke of respect hard won, extended a hand to Elena. In that simple gesture was the acknowledgement that humanity was not to be underestimated, that their place in the galaxy was not merely as bystanders, but as equal participants. As the humans celebrated, their thoughts were not only of the victory but also of the journey that had brought them to this moment. The sacrifices, the doubts, the relentless pursuit of a dream, all had culminated in this singular triumph. It was a reminder that even amidst the vastness of the universe, humanity's spirit burned bright. The alien spectators, once skeptical, now looked upon the humans with a newfound respect. The narrative had changed. The galaxy had witnessed the birth of a new contender. Humanity, with its blend of ingenuity, courage, and unexpected strength, had proven that they were capable of greatness. As the arena slowly emptied, the humans remained, savoring the moment. The field, now quiet, was a canvas upon which they had painted their legacy. The victory was theirs, but the journey was far from over. For in the vast expanse of the galaxy, there were still challenges to face, still battles to be fought. But now, armed with the knowledge of their potential, the humans were ready. They had shown the universe what they were capable of, and there was no turning back. As the stars began to twinkle in the gathering twilight, the human team stood together, a silhouette against the cosmos. They were the architects of their destiny, a beacon of hope amidst the darkness. The world had changed, and they were at the forefront of that change, ready to embrace whatever the future held. For humanity had proven, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that they were more than the sum of their parts. They were a force to be reckoned with, a testament to the resilience and ingenuity that defined their species. And in that moment, as they stood beneath the endless sky, they knew that their journey was just beginning. The arena stood as a monolithic testament to the grandeur of the cosmos, a hollowed-out asteroid converted into an arena that housed the hopes and dreams of myriad species. It was here that the interstellar tournament reached its crescendo, a place where the best of each world clashed in contests that defied imagination. The air was thick with anticipation, a palpable tension that reverberated through the stands filled with spectators from every corner of the galaxy. Humanity's team, clad in their elegant yet resilient uniforms, stood in stark contrast to the intimidating forms of their opponents. The Zarkul, a species known for their arrogance and superiority complex, had dominated the tournament for centuries. To them, this was just another routine victory, a chance to remind the lesser species of their place in the cosmic hierarchy. But today, something was different. The central field shimmered with ethereal light, a manifestation of technologies beyond human comprehension. The first event, a test of dexterity and precision, required competitors to navigate a three-dimensional maze filled with obstacles that shifted and spiraled unpredictably. It was a challenge that had humbled many, yet the human representative approached it with an unexpected calm. Emma Kwan, a former gymnast turned pilot, stepped forward. Her movements were poetry in motion, an intricate dance honed by years of training both on Earth and in the harsh environments of space. The Zarkul laughed, their guttural voices echoing disdainfully. To them, she was just another fragile human, one who would falter like so many before her. But as the event commenced, their laughter faded. Emma weaved through the maze with an elegance that was almost ethereal. Every twist, every turn was executed with precision that bordered on the divine. Her body moved like liquid, adapting to the shifting walls and sudden drops with a grace that made the impossible seem effortless. The crowd, once skeptical, now watched in awed silence. It was a performance that transcended skill. It was an assertion of human spirit, a testament to the resilience and adaptability that had brought humanity from the brink of obscurity to this moment. As Emma crossed the finish line, the scoreboard flared to life, declaring her time, a record that shattered previous benchmarks. A collective gasp rippled through the arena. It was no longer a question of participation. Humanity was here to win. Next came the test of strength and endurance, a grueling event that demanded both physical power and mental fortitude. The Zarkul champion, a towering behemoth of sinew and muscle, smirked as he faced off against Alex Navarro, the human competitor. Alex was not as physically imposing, yet there was a fire in his eyes that spoke of determination born from struggle and survival. The task was simple yet brutal, to push a massive sphere of compressed neutronium up a steep incline. For the Zarkul, this was merely an exercise in superiority. But as the contest began, it was Alex who surprised everyone. Inch by inch, he pushed the sphere, his muscles straining against the relentless force of gravity. The Zarkul's laughter faded to silence as they realized the true depth of human tenacity. The sphere inched upward, powered by Alex's unyielding will. It became a contest not of strength but of spirit. The crowd leaned forward, caught in the thrall of this primal struggle. With one final, monumental effort, Alex heaved the sphere over the crest, collapsing alongside it. The arena erupted in thunderous applause, a symphony of disbelief and admiration. In the final event, strategy and wit were paramount. A chess-like game played on a multidimensional board, where one's perception of time and space was both weapon and weakness. The Zarkul were confident, having mastered this game over centuries. They faced Sarah, a human child prodigy whose genius had been nurtured in the quiet libraries of Earth. The game unfolded like a cosmic ballet, pieces shifting in space, time, and probability with each move. The Zarkul's strategy was flawless, a testament to their long-held belief in their intellectual supremacy. Yet Sarah played with an intuition that was both unnerving and brilliant. She saw beyond the board, glimpsing patterns in the chaos that escaped even the most advanced minds. As the game reached its climax, the Zarkul realized their catastrophic misjudgment. They had underestimated the human capacity for creativity, the ability to see possibilities where others saw only impossibility. Sarah's final move was both bold and devastating, unraveling her opponent's strategy with a single stroke. The board flickered and the Zarkul knew they had been bested. The arena was silent as the realization set in. Humanity had not just participated, they had excelled, outmatched their opponents in every event. The Zarkul's faces, once filled with smug assurance, now bore the weight of their hubris. They had been certain of their victory, dismissing humans as inconsequential. Yet here, in this moment, it was undeniable, humanity had triumphed. As the human team gathered on the podium, the weight of their achievement settled upon them. They had come, against all odds, to the heart of the galaxy's greatest stage and had shown the universe what they were capable of. The melancholy that hung in the air was not one of sadness, but of reflection, a deep awareness of the journey that had brought them here, and the sacrifices made along the way. The arena, now silent in reverence, bore witness to this ultimate display of human excellence. It was a victory that went beyond the tournament, beyond the accolades. It was a testament to the indomitable human spirit, the courage to dream and to reach for the stars. And as the stars themselves seemed to bow in acknowledgement, humanity stood victorious, a beacon of hope and possibility in an indifferent universe. In that moment, as the galaxy's eyes were upon them, humanity turned the tables, showing that they were more than just survivors. They were champions, capable of greatness that transcended the boundaries of their world. And in the quiet aftermath, as the stars began to twinkle once more, the echoes of their victory lingered, a reminder of what it meant to be human. The stadium was eerily silent in the aftermath of the final match. Dust motes floated lazily through shafts of light, the noise of the universe momentarily hushed as if it too held its breath, waiting for the weight of the moment to settle. The humans had won, against all odds, against the skepticism of the galactic community, and against the heavy hearts that questioned their place among the stars. They had emerged victorious. Captain Alara Morgan stood in the center of the arena, her heart pounding with the echoes of the final whistle. The team around her, a patchwork of athletes who had brought their unique skills and souls from every corner of Earth, was both jubilant and exhausted. She watched as their faces, each etched with the trials of the journey, slowly made sense of what they had achieved. The victory was a beautiful irony. The humans, a species often underestimated, had upset the interstellar order. Alara glanced at her teammates. There was Darius, the once reluctant hero who had found balance between his analytical mind and the raw, untamed spirit of competition. Beside him was May, her eyes still wide with the wonder of a child who had just seen magic made real. She had been the heart of their team, her unshakable optimism a beacon through the darkest times. Alara's thoughts flickered to the alien teams they had faced, each defeat a ripple in an ocean of history. The Queln, with their fluid grace and tactical brilliance, had bowed out with respect, a nod from their captain, an acknowledgement of a worthy adversary. The Dravicon, fierce and unyielding, had left the field with a quiet dignity, their burning intensity cooled by the recognition of an unexpected kinship in struggle. As the adrenaline ebbed, a wave of melancholy washed over Alara. Victory was a double-edged sword, a sharp reminder that change was now inevitable. The alien delegations watched from the stands, their expressions varied, some curious, others contemplative, a few bewildered by the shifting paradigm. Humanity had proven something fundamental, not just about their resilience, but about their place in the cosmos. In the quiet moments after the ceremony, Alara found herself wandering the empty corridors of the arena. She needed space to think, to process. The tournament was over, but the real journey was just beginning. Humanity's victory had opened doors, but it also cast shadows of uncertainty on what lay beyond them. She encountered Counselor Jorax, the arbiter of the tournament, waiting in the shadows. His eyes were thoughtful, a mix of admiration and trepidation. "Captain Morgan," he began, his voice as smooth and measured as always. "You and your team have done something extraordinary. Thank you, Counselor." Alara met his gaze, searching for the meaning behind his words. "But where do we go from here?" Jorax's expression softened. "You have changed the game, quite literally. The cosmic community will have to reassess what it means to be a part of it. Your victory here has shown that greatness is not just a matter of history or heritage, but of heart." Alara nodded, a bittersweet smile playing on her lips. "I suppose that's what we do, challenge expectations." "Indeed," Jorax agreed. "There will be challenges ahead. Not everyone will welcome this change. But you've given us all something to think about. A new perspective." They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of potential futures stretching out before them. Alara felt both humbled and invigorated. Humanity had a long road ahead, but it was a road they had carved out themselves. Back in the team quarters, Alara found her teammates gathered, the room alive with conversation and laughter. The air was thick with a camaraderie forged in shared struggle and triumph. Darius was recounting a particularly tense moment from the final match, his voice animated in a way that belied his usual stoicism. May was seated beside him, eyes shining as she absorbed every word, her spirit as indefatigable as ever. "Hey, Captain," May called out, beckoning Alara to join them. "We were just talking about how we're going to need a bigger trophy case." Alara chuckled, the sound like a release of tension she hadn't realized she was holding. We'll worry about that once we get home. Home, Darius echoed, his tone reflective. That's going to feel different now, isn't it? It will, Alara agreed, her gaze drifting out toward the expanse of the galaxy beyond. But maybe that's a good thing. Change is never easy, but it's the only way we grow. The team fell into a comfortable silence, each member contemplating what lay ahead. The tournament had tested them, revealed their strengths and vulnerabilities, and ultimately bonded them in ways they hadn't anticipated. They had not just represented humanity, they had redefined it. As the team prepared to leave the arena for the final time, Alara took a moment to pause at the exit. She looked back at the stadium, a place that had witnessed not just the physical contests, but the emotional and spiritual ones as well. It was a sacred space now, a testament to what humans could achieve when they reached beyond their limits. Outside, the stars were beginning to pepper the sky, distant suns casting their ancient light across the new champions of the galaxy. Alara felt a profound sense of peace settle over her. They had done something remarkable, something that would echo through time. As they boarded their ship, the weight of what lay ahead felt lighter, the uncertainty tinged with hope. Humanity's role in the universe was not defined by the boundaries others set for them, but by the ones they chose to break through together. The ship's engines hummed to life, and as they lifted off, Alara gazed out at the vastness of space. Each star was a promise, each planet a possibility. They were no longer just Earthlings. They were citizens of the cosmos, carrying with them the spirit of a world that refused to be constrained. In the quiet of space, as the arena receded behind them, Alara whispered a silent vow to the universe. That humanity would continue to surprise, continue to challenge, and continue to rise to meet whatever came next. They were more than a species. They were a story unfolding, a narrative woven through the fabric of the stars themselves. And as the ship sailed into the night, a new chapter began, the echoes of their triumph reverberating through the cosmos, a lasting testament to the tenacity, spirit, and unyielding hope of humanity.